Hello and welcome to the SuperShow. I'm Chris.
I'm Jamie.
And I'm Alex. And look, I know we've all been in this situation. Our extended family sit us down and tell us that we need to stop doing what we're doing. We're single-handedly ruining everything and we're a mess. And why do we keep eating cat food and trying to live in their lofts?
Cat food?
Yeah, it's fishy.
It's a legitimate lifestyle choice.
Okay.
Don't knock it till you tried it, Chris.
Okay, fair. But... Meow. Well, moving on from that car crash to some others, the biggest the gaming world has thrown at us this year.
He's still recovering from the meow, aren't you?
As a well-timed meow. It's okay, well, moving on from that car crash to some others, the biggest the gaming world has thrown at us this year, in fact. Because when it seems everything should be going your way and there's absolutely no excuse to get things wrong, video game companies like to surprise us and, well, completely screw the pooch. So these are the 6 biggest failures of 2021.
Remaster, remake, director's cut, legendary edition.
Ooh.
Do you see where I'm going with this, lads?
No.
Re-released games come with a plethora of subtitles nowadays, so you'd think that picking the right one would be pretty damn important. But seemingly not for Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy Definitive Edition. Yes, by the way, that's really what it's called.
Hold on. Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy Definitive Edition.
Yeah, there's a hyphen and a colon in there.
What do they do if they, in the future, make a new version?
Well, they're not allowed to now. This is it.
The Redefinitive Edition.
Redefinitive. That's going to be the next thing. Remaster, remake, redefinitive.
Honestly, we're not far off that point. While released, of course, by Rockstar Games, this package was lovingly assembled by Grove Street Games, a small group of developers who, just a few short years ago, were working on the iOS smash hit Turtle Tumble.
I fucking love that game.
It is a banger. If the vibe you're getting from my unnecessarily condescending tone is that they may not have been the perfect fit for the job, then congratulations, you've mastered verbal communication. You're picking up everything I'm putting down. For 3 of the most historically significant open world games ever made, the treatment here simply should have been better. Early trailers might have warned us of that off-putting, kind of plasticky art style, but it was hard to be prepared for what was to follow, and exactly how shit things were really going to be. Bizarre glitches, eye-piercingly ugly rain, spelling mistakes, textures that never got updated, laughably dumb faces, bizarre LOD decisions, you get the idea. All of this was wrapped up in a package that, even using the PS5's performance mode, couldn't hit a stable 60 frames a second.
Wow. Is this going to be like the next benchmark? You know, it's like, can it run Crysis?
Exactly, yeah. Can it run this game from 2001? While the fundamentals of these classic titles largely remained intact, everything that should have elevated the experience somehow managed to do the opposite. It wasn't long before people realised that playing those originals was, in some cases, actually preferable. That fact makes Rockstar's decision to remove them from sale across almost every storefront even more scummy. But of course it's 2021, guys, so we all know how this shit goes.
Oh yeah, we do.
We get a half-hearted apology, claims of being surprised by how shitty the product they knowingly sold was, and finally, an apathetic attempt to win us back by returning the original versions that never should have been removed to begin with.
This sounds like a bad Christmas morning. You give someone a shit present they didn't want, and you knew you were giving it to them.
Going into 2022, I fully expect to see GTA 6 trend on Twitter no less than, I'm going to say 50 times.
Yeah, with no real reason, right?
Exactly. And Chris, if this experience taught us anything, it's that maybe we should be a little bit more careful about what we wish for. See, it's an entry and a success, and it's a life lesson.
Yeah.
You're learning something.
On the face of it, Destruction AllStars isn't a bad game. It was a PS5 exclusive at a time when they were badly wanted. It was nice and shiny and featured some fun-sounding car-based combat. However, we can't judge a book by its cover, and despite the conditions being right for Destruction AllStars to become a staple of the PS5 multiplayer community, it completely failed.
Oh man, so badly. But kind of expected though.
Do you know what hasn't failed? Your lung capacity. I'd completely forgotten how long you talked for.
That was kind of mental.
Those are some crazy sentences.
The first controversy surrounding the title was the price tag of $69.99.
Nice.
This was, after all, going to be an online microtransaction-addled title that seemed unjustifiable at full whack. Ironically, it seemed, PlayStation agreed. Despite being slated as a launch title for the PS5 in November of 2020, the game was bumped to February of 2021 and was released for free.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
But only to PlayStation Plus members.
Well, what's the cross-section of the people that actually managed to get their hands on a PS5 at that time that were PlayStation Plus members that actually wanted to play this game? I think I see what the problem is.
Interestingly, when it finally had a full price release in April of 2021, it was a much reduced price of $19.99. Bless.
Yeah. Aww.
The biggest failure of Destruction All-Stars, it seems, was its mediocrity. The game had a perfectly serviceable loop and fun driving mechanics, but ultimately it was a far cry from the full-price AAA game that players were waiting for, and once they finally got their hands on it, there simply wasn't enough to keep them playing. As of now, the initial install base is around 1/3 of PlayStation 5 owners, which should be pretty healthy.
So it doesn't sound too bad to me.
But the player base is non-existent.
Right.
Yeah. As someone who played that game once, I can vouch.
It is pretty much impossible to fill an 8-player match without relying on a majority of bots, and that is not something anybody wants to do.
I get this trend of like filling in lobbies with bots, and like it kind of makes sense, but I also fucking hate it.
But do you think people would let them get away with it if the bots used gamer words? And slagged other people off?
Well, the bots just every single match after each match was like, just used racial slurs and wanted to bang your mother.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bang your mom, ha 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 ha, you stupid.
Gay slurs, racial slurs, and banging mums. And they were all bots.
Imagine being the dev who has to program that. How sad your life must be.
Unfortunately, sometimes you can't even give things away, and it's hard to see how the game could turn around its dire fortunes. Lucid Games obviously have talent and some fun ideas, but let's hope their next title doesn't die quite as quickly as this one did.
I've got a fucking hint. Don't make a shit game.
It wasn't shit.
Can I hit you with a dose of reality, Alex Jones?
Yeah.
If it wasn't shit, people would play it.
Nah. That's not what this day and age is all about.
Balan Wonderworld or Wonderland or whatever. You were meant to be the triumphant return of Sonic the Hedgehog's creator. You were meant to fill that joyful Japanese platforming itch. You were meant to be the chosen one, to bring balance to the Force. Instead, you were just a big old steaming pile of doo-doo.
Yeah, tell him.
You see, Yuji Naka wanted to go all out and show he was more than just the Sonic-shaped sum of his parts. But it seemed that despite his ambition with the game, a rocky development pushed him into madness where, I'm sad to have to say, fellas, he savagely slaughtered the entire dev team.
Jesus, and you thought crunch was bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only logical explanation I can come up with for a game as stinky to legio as this one.
But Chris, it looks all colourful and innocent, and there's dancing and stuff.
Well,
surely it's amazing.
The colourful, innocent-looking game sees you travel from various worlds, helping people to overcome things, I guess. And in the game, along the way, you'll be picking up 80 costumes that offer 80 unique abilities. Except, of course, the term unique is thrown around as generously as your sister at a barn dance.
Jesus.
Everyone's fucking her, Jonesy, that's what it means.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yep, she got straw where straw don't belong. Someone said stuff her and they got the wrong end of the stick.
Because you see, so many of the suits perform the exact same function as, say, a suit just a few pickups ago. And it's probably just some variation of jump. Now yes, players could maybe look past the overlap in abilities if the abilities themselves weren't just fundamentally broken. Jumping in the Elastisuit doesn't allow you to spring high enough to clear simple obstacles. And this one's for you, Jamie. The Box Fox ability just randomly turns you into a box for no good reason.
See, I can get into that.
Yeah, but look, it's not like in a hide from enemy soldiers because you're Solid Snake on a mission to defeat punished Hidden Snake from activating Metal Gear Snake on his Nokia Snake phone. No, it's more like just why the fuck am I a box? Bet you not even Yuji Naka knows.
I think you just went 1 for 4 on accurate Snake references, but I'll let you off.
To add to the joy, this game was conceived as a one-button game. So all 4 face buttons do exactly the same function, which is usually jump, unless you find a costume that remaps the only fucking button from jump to something else, which is not jump. Yes, that's right, you could find a costume, fellas, that removes the jump ability from a fucking platformer game. I mean, I just can't believe that Square Enix published the steaming pile of Balan clusterfuck.
If you remove the jump ability from a platformer, doesn't it make it a grounder? Guys, at a time where FIFA's microtransaction shenanigans could hardly be more infamous, usurping EA's monolithic franchise for the spot of most hated football game should, in theory, take some doing.
Yeah, you say most hated, but also like most popular.
Often one comes hand in hand with the other, I guess. Well, fortunately for those of us who love a good hearty car crash of a game, Konami decided to step up to the mantle this year with eFootball 2022. What makes this free-to-play garbage fire of a video game even more bizarre is that Konami were, for a while, on the right track. While eFootball's precursor Pro Evolution Soccer never quite managed to escape FIFA's shadow, it was slowly building a reputation as a solid alternative for anyone tired of investing thousands of dollars on virtual cards, which is most of us.
Well, it's not me, fella.
This is not your demographic. Hey, you're not that guy, pal.
You're not that guy.
Then, just when things seemed sweet, the same genius minds that ousted Hideo Kojima, turned Metal Gear into a survival game, and bet the house on pachinko machines, decided to make some changes.
For the love of God.
Does that sound ominous?
Yes.
I wanted it to sound ominous.
Nothing good ever comes from changes.
Changes make it free to play. As if the almost insultingly bad AOL circa 2001 inspired name change wasn't bad enough, eFootball managed to create one of the worst value propositions gaming has ever seen, and it's free.
How can you ruin free?
Well, they had a few ideas, let me tell you. First of all, they planned to break up the game's core components so they could monetize each one individually. And look, that would have been bad enough if those components even looked like they existed. Fan favorite modes like Master League don't have a release date in sight, online play was so bad that an apology for it was built into the game, and loot boxes were sold at launch that couldn't even be opened. Oh, and by the way, lads, those were just the trimmings, right? Because the on-pitch experience, a total fucking disaster. Disturbing player likenesses, buggy animations, and simply broken gameplay. Any attempts to wave eFootball 2022's problems away as it's a glorified demo are nonsense. It's out, people have put money into it, and it's fundamentally broken. What might have been, at first, an honest attempt to help a decent football game reach a wider audience soon became a perfect case study for everything wrong with gaming at the moment. A botched launch, rampant monetization, a half-hearted apology, and a vague commitment to improvements that will no doubt be funded by the poor souls who fell for the con to begin with. It's currently the worst rated game on Steam ever, of all time, and quite frankly, it can stay there.
It's becoming an all too familiar tale, guys. An eagerly anticipated...
No, Jonesy, say it properly. It's a tale as old as time.
It's a tale as old as time. An eagerly anticipated game has got people riding the hype train, and even when the wheels start to come off, we all cross our fingers that everything will be okay. Cyberpunk, Marvel's Avengers, Destiny, No Man's Sky, Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh my God.
The list is long and stretches back many years.
Do you know what's fucked up? Is how many games are on that list that one of us three genuinely likes.
So maybe we shouldn't be surprised that when Battlefield 2042 offered up a badly received beta test soon before launch, that a delay of a mere 3 weeks wasn't going to be long enough to put everything right.
You guys fucking said it as well on the podcast. You said it.
They're hoping that they can scratch whatever they can out of those few weeks in order to deliver it before Christmas.
We knew.
You knew.
And I did not pre-order it, so that's lucky. So this is a list about failures, and whilst Battlefield may not have been an outright complete failure at this point, it's a case of so many small issues creating one big clusterfuck. So let's go through just some of the issues players, especially those on PC, have been experiencing. We're talking input lag, poor optimization causing frame rate drops on even the chunkiest of PCs, network and server performance problems, direct hits on enemies not being registered, damage indicators not appearing when hits do connect, bullet spread and bloom being excessive, making some weapons unusable when they should be effective, players falling through scenery, not being able to spawn, not being able to be revived, to the point where they have to quit the server and find a new game altogether. And these are just some of the myriad of problems the game has even after its day one patch.
God, Jonesy, stop, it's already dead.
Even if you ignore all of the bugs, map variation, the way classes work, the lack of a single player campaign, and a plethora of minor omissions or changes from previous entries has meant that, as of today, Battlefield 2042 has one of the highest number of negative reviews on Steam of all time. We're talking an excess of 50,000 negative reviews. How DICE or EA thought they could slip this past players is unfathomable. Hopefully over the next year or so, patches and hotfixes will solve a majority of these issues, but it's hard to say if the damage hasn't already been done.
How far the mighty have fallen. It was just yesterday that Battlefield 1 was the highest rated fucking video on YouTube.
All I'm going to say is just wait till we get together next year and make the 6 biggest video game turnarounds of 2022, and Battlefield 2042 is like the best game of all time all of a sudden.
Can I make another prediction for that list? Halo.
People like Halo.
Halo's not out yet. Halo fucked it for a whole year.
The multiplayer's out in beta and it's better than most games' finished products.
Because they took a year to fix it, not 3 weeks.
Right, fellas, which brings us to the last entry on this list. I had initially chosen Diablo 2 Resurrected due to it being a failure when held up against my impossible standards for a remastered version of one of my favorite games of all time. With a slavish devotion to being as faithful to the original as possible, nothing other than the graphics were meaningfully updated, which means you still had to play Tetris with your tiny little inventory that had way too much space taken up by scrolls, tomes, keys, flashlights. I mean, you name it, it's there.
All things that would help on your journey, I'm sure.
Just stop taking your flashlight everywhere. Just leave it at home.
Guys,
you're supposed to just keep it in the drawer.
Listen,
we've told you this before. Why you've got it with you right now on your lap while we're trying to record this?
After a long day of slaying demons, sometimes you just want to slay... I mean, it said Asa Akira on the box. I don't fucking know. The annoying stamina system is still present there as well. And I mean, look, Blizzard, it wasn't good back then, and it sure as hellfire isn't good now. Not that it matters, because it feels the servers are perennially screwed. But look, fellas, Diablo 2 Resurrected issues aside, I started to think of the absolute abysmal year that Activision Blizzard has had. And it became pretty clear that the failure wasn't just at Diablo's doorstep.
Oh.
Yes. It was actually at the developer's doorstep. A lawsuit and a whole host of sexual misconduct claims kicked off a parade of ever-escalating bad news for the company. The developers who made the games we slavishly adored were being harassed en masse, while upper management largely turned a blind eye. In a shake-up to clean up its image, countless producers and game directors were either dismissed or resigned, and a short-lived female-male co-leadership structure was rolled out that actually just turned out to be more of the same misogynistic bullshit as before. A new name for Overwatch's resident cowboy, and countless promises couldn't turn the tide against Activision Blizzard and its board, led by Moneyball's own Bobby fucking Kotick. As a result of the fallout, games such as Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 have been pushed out indefinitely, with the future of the Overwatch League in serious doubt. BlizzConline has been moved to next year to refocus or some shit, and World of Warcraft's Shadowlands expansion is set to wrap up early with fewer updates than any previous expansion. Games aside though, the events surrounding the Activision Blizzard shit show are a reminder of the very human cost of game development, and a stark reminder, fellas, that we should all strive to be a whole lot less shitty to each other.